In the previous two tutorials, we began setting up our global variable structures to hold the information for our inventory items. But let's break free from that for a minute, okay? Because part of good game programming is also keeping yourself interested. And trust me, there's plenty more sort of tedious data entry things that we have to do. But for today, let's start getting our inventory screen actually up on our monitor. Okay, so let's come to our main event, main scene here, and let's go ahead and hit the plus button. Hit the sprites. Let's add a new one. We'll call this one inventory container, similar to our dialog container here. Let's hit the plus sign. And I have an inventory container that I made, again via just Paint 3D, that's 400 by 300. I wanted it big enough to hold our 5 slots. I'll do probably maybe 3 up here and then 2 here, along with a little 32 by 32, or maybe I'll make it 64 by 64 image of our item. And then I want to leave some room on the bottom here for some buttons, so that we can delete and add items and whatnot, okay? And this seemed to be about a pretty good size for that. So let me go ahead and bring that in. There it is. Okay, let's hit apply. And let's drag it onto our scene. Now you can place this anywhere you want. I'm gonna I'll put it over here for right now. We can always deal with that later on. One of the first things we want to do is we already know that we want to make this a global object because we want this to be seen throughout the entire project. So let's right click on it and let's make it a global object. Alright. And we also know that similarly to our dialog container, we want to associate this with a new layer that we can hide and bring up on the screen. So let's go to our layer editor, and you can see I got one here already that I was sort of messing with when I was sort of going over how I wanted to approach this. Let's pretend like that wasn't there, and let's bring up a new one. Let's hit the plus sign, and we'll call this one inventory. Alright, and let's associate our object with the layer by clicking on it, so that's highlighted, then hitting our properties window, and making our association with the inventory layer. Alright. So now it's associated with that layer. And all we want to do today is just sort of practice bringing this inventory screen up and then making it go away. So let's go to our main events here, and let's create a new grouping, and this is going to be inventory screen, and let's get a nice new empty event here, and we're going to add a condition, but we want to think this through for a second. So you always have to keep in mind there's human logic and then there's computer logic, and they're not the same thing. You might be tempted to just do something like add the condition keyboard released. We'll use the letter I for inventory. It's pretty standard in games. You might be tempted to just do, when the I key is released, show layer. Let's go ahead and do that. Show inventory layer. Okay, which, let me see if it's hidden here. Is it hidden? Let's make it hidden. Okay, and then let's go ahead and preview this, and you'll see you'll have some initial success here. Look at that. There it is, right? Hooray. Okay, but when you hit I, it doesn't go away. So you're a logical person. You're thinking, oh yeah, okay, no problem. I'll go ahead and I'll copy this, add a new event here, paste it, and I'll do when key released and you're going to say if the layer is visible, if it's visible, right, go ahead and hide the layer. Now, this makes a lot of sense, right? This makes a lot of human logic, right? And theoretically, it should work. So I'm hitting I and nothing is happening. Okay. This is where that difference I was telling you about comes into play between computer logic and human logic. The computer is intelligently stupid in that it's going to do exactly what you tell it to do in the order of events, and if it executes something so quickly, in this case it executes this so quickly that it never actually pops up on the screen. In some ways we actually have to slow this down, and how we're going to do that is we are going to use variables to sort of monitor whether or not the layer is visible or not. So let's head over to our global variables again, and let's add, let's see, oh, I've got one here already, but again, let me delete it. I'll delete it so we can create it together. Okay, so we have our menus here, right? We've already got a variable here. Let's add a child to this one, and we'll call this one inventory container. And similarly to our dialog one, let's go ahead and add these children ones here. 1, 2, 3. We might want to keep track of where our inventory container is, so let's add these. But this is the one that's more important right now, and that's up. Okay, and we're going to set to 0. When the inventory container up variable is 0, it means it's not showing. Okay, so let's hit apply, and here's what we're going to do. Let's move this out of the way. Let's delete that and let's add our variable here, value of a global variable, and it's menu inventory container up. When that up is equal to 0, we want to hide. So let's move that there and get rid of this one. When it's 0, we want to hide. Okay, let's copy this and we'll paste it in down here. Move this up. And now when it's 1, we want to show the layer. Okay, so now when our variable is 0, we're going to hide it. When it's 1, we're going to show it. Okay, let's come back to this one here now. And we're going to say if the I key is released, let's get rid of this, delete. If I key is released, and we're going to change this one to variable global variable up. Where's our up one? Inventory container up equals 0, right? Which means it's not showing. Then we're going to change the variable to 1. Here it is, inventory container up. we're going to change it to 1. Let's just try that for a second. There it is. Alright, now when I hit I it doesn't work, but we can fix that now too by coming down here and clicking and doing our advance. Now we have to slow this down a bit. We're not going to start off with our I keys released actually, because they're going to end up negating each other like we did last time. Okay, they're going to move so quickly they're just going to negate each other. So we're first going to test a couple of conditions here. We're going to say if our variable container up, wrong one, sorry. If the inventory container up equals 1, right, because that means it's showing, and we're going to add if the layer of inventory is visible. Now we're going to add our key release here, and the I key is released. This slows it down enough to make sure that these are all checking true first. Then we're going to make that variable 0, and that should hide it again. So let's try that out. There it is. Let's hit I again. There it goes. All right.